Welcome back, Seeker, to Inner Light, Esoteric Wisdom. Today we approach one of the most profound bodies of contemplative theology that any tradition on earth has ever produced. A body of teaching whose specific contents have shaped the devotional lives of more than 1 billion human beings across 14 centuries. A body of teaching that constitutes, in the specific understanding of the tradition that preserves it, nothing less than a map of the divine reality itself, a specific enumeration of the ways in which the infinite and utterly transcendent God has made himself known to his creation. We approach the 99 names of Allah, Al-Asma'ul Husna, the most beautiful names. Close the door behind you. Lower the lights if you can. What we are about to examine is not merely a list, though it takes the form of a list. It is not merely a devotional exercise, though it grounds one of the most widespread devotional practices in the entire history of religion. What we are about to examine is a complete theology, a complete anthropology, and a complete spiritual path, encoded in a specific sequence of names whose particular character the Islamic tradition has contemplated with sustained intensity for 1400 years. The tradition maintains that these names are not human inventions. They are not poetic titles that worshippers devise to flatter their deity. They are, on the tradition's own testimony, divine self-disclosures, the specific ways in which the God who is beyond all comprehension has chosen to describe himself in his own revelation, so that creatures whose finite minds could never grasp the divine essence might nonetheless know something true about the one who made them. And the tradition maintains something further, something that transforms the names from objects of study into instruments of transformation. The Prophet Muhammad, in a hadith preserved in the collections of both Bukhari and Muslim, the two most rigorously authenticated collections in the entire corpus of Islamic tradition, declared, Allah has 99 names, 100 minus 1. Whoever enumerates them shall enter paradise. Whoever enumerates them. The Arabic word is ahsaha, and the tradition has spent 14 centuries contemplating what this word actually demands. Does it mean merely to memorize the names, to recite them? Or does it mean something substantially deeper, to understand them, to internalize them, to be transformed by them, to take on within the limits proper to a creature the specific qualities the names describe? The greatest minds of the tradition concluded that the deeper reading is the true one. The enumeration that leads to paradise is not recitation alone. It is transformation, a word before we descend. The tradition we shall examine is a living tradition, practiced daily by an enormous portion of humanity. The names we shall contemplate are, at this very moment, being recited on prayer beads in Cairo and Istanbul, in Jakarta and Lagos, in London and Toronto, in the small hours of the night by practitioners whose specific devotion continues an unbroken chain of practice stretching back to the Prophet himself. We are not examining a museum piece. We are approaching a fire that still burns. The careful seeker who engages with this material should do so with the reverence that a living tradition of this depth deserves. Let us approach the threshold. The Qur'anic foundation, the doctrine of the divine. Names rest directly upon the text of the Qur'an itself. 4 times the Qur'an explicitly refers to the most beautiful names, and each of these passages deserves attention. In Surah Al-Araf, and to Allah belong the most beautiful names, so invoke him by them, and leave those who practice deviation concerning his names. They will be recompensed for what they have been doing. In Surah Al-Isra, say, call upon Allah or call upon the most merciful. Whichever you call, to him belong the most beautiful names. In Surah Taha, Allah, there is no deity except him. To him belong the most beautiful names. And in Surah Al-Hashr, in a passage that itself constitutes one of the most concentrated enumerations of divine names in the entire Qur'an, he is Allah, other than whom there is no deity, knower of the unseen and the witnessed. He is the most merciful, the especially merciful. He is Allah, other than whom there is no deity, the sovereign, the holy, the perfection, the bestower of faith, the overseer, the exalted in might, the compeller, the superior. Exalted is Allah above whatever they associate with him. He is Allah, the creator, the producer, the fashioner. To him belong the most beautiful names. Whatever is in the heavens and earth is exalting him, and he is the exalted in might, the wise. The specific instruction contained in the first of these passages deserves particular attention. Invoke him by them. The names are not given merely for contemplation. They are given for invocation, for the specific practice of calling upon God through the specific name, whose particular quality corresponds to the specific need of the moment. The one who is sick calls upon Ash-Shafi, the healer. The one who is lost calls upon Al-Hadi, the guide. The one who is oppressed calls upon Al-Adl, the just. The names constitute, in this sense, a complete grammar of prayer, a specific vocabulary through which every human condition can be brought into relationship with the specific aspect of divine reality that answers to it. The theology of the names, transcendence and nearness. Before we walk through the names themselves, we must understand the specific theological framework within which the tradition holds them, for the names sit at the very center of one of the deepest tensions in all monotheistic theology, the tension between divine transcendence and divine nearness. Islamic theology insists, with an absoluteness that few traditions have matched, upon the utter transcendence of God. The doctrine of Tanzih, the declaration of God's incomparability, is anchored in the Qur'anic verse. There is nothing whatsoever like unto him. God is not merely greater than creation. God is beyond all comparison with creation. No image can represent him. No concept can contain him. No human category can capture what he is in himself. In this respect, Islamic theology stands in profound kinship with the apophatic tradition we examined in our pilgrimage into hesychasm, the recognition that the divine essence exceeds everything the created mind can conceive, and yet the same Qur'an that declares God's incomparability also declares his nearness. We are closer to him than his jugular vein. The same God who is beyond all categories describes himself in his own revelation through specific names: merciful, loving, near, answering, gentle, kind. The doctrine of Tashbih, the affirmation of the qualities through which God has described himself, stands alongside the doctrine of transcendence, and the tradition has consistently maintained that both must be held together. The names are precisely where these two truths meet. Through the names, the incomparable God becomes invocable. Through the names, the one who cannot be conceived can nonetheless be addressed. The names are, in the tradition's understanding, the specific bridge that God himself has built across the infinite distance between the divine essence and the created mind, a bridge built not from human speculation, but from divine self-disclosure. The great theologian Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, whose 11th century treatise Al-Maqsad al-Asna, the highest aim in explaining the beautiful names of Allah, remains the most influential single commentary on the names ever written, articulated the framework with particular precision. The names, Al-Ghazali taught, describe God truly, but they do not describe him exhaustively. Each name is a genuine window onto the divine reality, but no name and no collection of names encompasses what God is in himself. The essence remains beyond. The names are the rays. The sun itself cannot be looked upon, and Al-Ghazali added the teaching that would transform the names from theology into spiritual path. The human being's perfection lies in takhaluk bi-akhlaq, Allah taking on in creaturely measure the character traits that the names describe. The one who contemplates Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, is called to become merciful. The one who contemplates Al-Karim, the generous, is called to become generous. The one who contemplates As-Sabur, the patient, is called to become patient. The names are not merely descriptions of God, they are the curriculum of the soul. The two great categories, Majesty and Beauty, the tradition organizes the names into two great families, and the specific relationship between these families structures the entire Islamic understanding of the divine nature. The first family comprises the names of Jalal, Majesty. These are the names of power, sovereignty, judgment, and awe. Al-Malik, the king. Al-Aziz, the mighty. Al-Jabbar, the compeller. Al-Qahhar, the subduer. Al-Muntakim, the avenger. These names evoke the aspect of divine reality before which creation trembles, the God of absolute sovereignty whose decrees none can resist, whose judgment none can evade, whose majesty reduces all created power to nothing. The second family comprises the names of Jamal, beauty. These are the names of mercy, gentleness, love, and intimacy. Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. Al-Wadud, the loving. Al-Latif, the subtle and kind. Al-Ghaffar, the forgiving. Ar-Rauf, the compassionate. These names evoke the aspect of divine reality toward which creation is drawn, the God of infinite tenderness, whose mercy embraces all things, whose forgiveness exceeds every sin, whose love called creation into being. The tradition maintains that neither family can be separated from the other. A God of majesty without beauty would be a tyrant. A God of beauty without majesty would be sentimental and powerless. The divine reality holds both in perfect unity, and the spiritual life of the practitioner involves learning to hold both as well, to fear God and to love Him, to tremble before His justice and to rest in His mercy, to know oneself as nothing before His majesty and as infinitely valued in His compassion. The Sufi tradition, in particular, developed this polarity into a complete map of spiritual experience. The states of qabd and bast, contraction and expansion, through which every practitioner passes, were understood as the soul's specific experience of the names of majesty and the names of beauty, respectively. The dark nights in which God seems distant and the soul feels crushed are the pedagogy of Jalal. The luminous openings in which God seems nearer than breath are the gift of Jamal, and the mature practitioner learns that both are mercy, that the God who contracts the soul and the God who expands it is one God, conducting one work of transformation. Walking through the names, let us now walk through the names themselves, following the traditional enumeration derived from the Hadith literature. We cannot dwell on each of the 99 at the length each deserves. Al-Ghazali devoted an entire treatise to the task, and the tradition has produced whole libraries of commentary. But we can walk the path, pausing where the depths particularly open. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, the most merciful, the especially merciful. The enumeration begins where the Qur'an itself begins, for every chapter of the Qur'an, but one opens with the invocation Bismillah Ir-Rahman, Ir-Rahim, in the name of God, the most merciful, the especially merciful. Both names derive from the root RHM, which is also the root of the word for the womb. The tradition has never failed to notice this. The mercy of God is womb-like, the encompassing, sustaining, nurturing matrix within which all creation lives and moves. The scholars distinguish the two names. Ar-Rahman names the universal mercy that embraces all creatures without exception, believer and unbeliever, human and animal, the mercy by which the sun rises on all alike. Ar-Rahim names the particular mercy reserved for those who turn toward God. The first is the ocean. The second is the rain that falls on the fields of the responsive heart. A celebrated hadith declares that God has divided mercy into 100 parts, sending down only one part into all creation. And from that single part comes every act of compassion that has ever occurred between creatures, including the tenderness of the mother animal for her young. 99 parts remain with God, held in reserve for the day of judgment. All the love that has ever existed in the history of the world is 1% of the mercy of God. Al-Malik, the king, the sovereign. Not a king among kings, but the king beneath whose sovereignty every earthly kingship is a temporary loan. Al-Qudus, the holy, the one utterly pure of every defect and limitation. As-Salam, the peace, the source of all peace, whose name the practitioner invokes in every greeting. Al-Mu'min, the bestower of faith, the granter of security. Al-Muhaymin, the guardian, the overseer, whose watchfulness nothing escapes. Al-Aziz, the almighty, whose might cannot be resisted. Al-Jabbar, the compeller, who mends what is broken and compels all things toward their appointed ends. The tradition notes that the same root gives the word for the setting of broken bones. The compeller is also the mender. Al-Mutakabbir, the supremely great, the one to whom greatness truly belongs, in contrast to the creature whose arrogance is always a theft of what belongs to God alone. Al-Khaliq, Al-Bari, Al-Musawwir, the creator, the producer, the fashioner, 3 names of creation, and the tradition contemplated their specific sequence. Al-Khaliq determines and decrees what shall be. Al-Bari brings it into existence from nothing. Al-Musawwir gives each thing its specific form, its particular face, its individual character. Creation is not a single act, but a continuous procession. Determination, existentiation, individuation, occurring at every moment, in every atom, without pause. The tradition maintains that if God ceased his creating for a single instant, the universe would not decay, it would simply cease. Al-Ghaffar, the ever-forgiving, who forgives again and again and again. Al-Qahhar, the subduer, before whom every rebellion ultimately fails. Al-Wahhab, the bestower, who gives without being asked and without expectation of return. Ar-Razzaq, the provider, who sustains every living creature. The tradition teaches that no creature dies until it has received the last portion of the provision written for it. Al-Fatah, the opener, who opens what is closed, closed doors, closed hearts, closed circumstances, closed understandings. The Sufi orders gave this name particular attention, invoking it at the threshold of every undertaking. Al-Alim, the all-knowing, whose knowledge encompasses every leaf that falls. Al-Kabid, Al-Basit, the withholder and the expander. Here the polarity of the names becomes explicit. God contracts and God expands, God withholds and God releases, and the tradition insists that both are names of the one God and both are mercy. Al-Khafid, Ar-Rafi, the Abasa and the Exalter. Al-Mu'izz, Al-Mudhil, the giver of honor and the giver of dishonor. The names come in pairs, and the pairs teach the deepest lesson of monotheism. There are not 2 powers in the universe, one raising and one lowering, one giving and one taking. There is one power, and all conditions, elevation and abasement, wealth and poverty, expansion and contraction, proceed from one hand, within one wisdom, toward one end. As-Sami, the all-hearing. Al-Basir, the all-seeing. Al-Hakam, the judge. Al-Adl, the utterly just. Al-Latif, the subtle. The gentle, the kind, one of the most beloved names in the entire enumeration, naming the God whose kindness operates with such delicacy that it accomplishes its ends invisibly. Arranging circumstances with a gentleness the recipient often recognizes only in retrospect. Al-Kabir, the all-aware. Al-Halim, the forbearing, who sees every sin and does not hasten to punish. Al-Azim, the magnificent. Al-Ghaffar, the all-forgiving. Ash-Shakur, the appreciative. And here the tradition paused in wonder. God is grateful. The God who needs nothing receives the smallest act of goodness from his creature and multiplies its reward without limit, appreciating what he himself enabled. Al-Ali, the Most High. Al-Kabir, the Most Great. Al-Hafiz, the Preserver. Al-Muqit, the Sustainer. Al-Hasib, the Reckoner, the one who suffices. Al-Jalil, the Majestic. Al-Karim, the Generous, whose generosity gives before the asking and beyond the deserving. Al-Raqib, the Watchful. Al-Mujib, the Answerer of Prayer, the name that anchors the entire practice of supplication. Call upon me, I will answer you. Al-Wasi, the all-encompassing, the vast. Al-Hakim, the wise, whose wisdom orders all things, including the things whose ordering the creature cannot perceive. Al-Wadud, the loving. The tradition noted the specific form of this name. It names not merely one who loves, but one whose very nature is love in action, love expressed, love demonstrated, love made effective. The Qur'an declares that God loves those who turn to Him, and the Sufi tradition built upon this name its entire theology of divine romance. The love story between God and the soul that Rumi, whom we examined in our previous descent, spent 30 years singing Al-Majid, the Glorious, Al-Ba'ith, the Resurrector, who raises the dead and raises the heedless heart from the death of forgetfulness. Ash-Shahid, the Witness, present to every event, every word, every hidden thought. Al-Haqq, the Truth, the Real. This name carried particular weight in the Sufi tradition, which used Al-Haqq as its most characteristic designation for God, the Real, in contrast to whose reality all created existence is shadow and metaphor. It was in ecstatic contemplation of this name that the 9th century mystic Al-Hallaj uttered the words Ana al-Haqq, I am the Real, the most controversial utterance in the history of Sufism, for which he was executed in Baghdad in 922, and which the tradition has debated ever since. Was it the ultimate blasphemy, or the utterance of a soul so annihilated in God that nothing remained of it to speak except the Real itself? Al-Wakil, the Trustee, upon whom all affairs may be entrusted. Al-Qawi, the Strong. Al-Matin, the Firm. Al-Wali, the Protecting Friend. From this name derives the entire Islamic concept of wilaya, sainthood, the friendship with God to which the mystical path aspires. Al-Hamid, the Praiseworthy. Al-Muhsi, the Enumerator, who has counted all things. Al-Mubdi, Al-Mu'id, the Originator and the Restorer, who begins creation and brings it back. Al-Muhi, Al-Mumit, the Giver of life and the Bringer of death. Again the pairing, again the teaching. Life and death proceed from one hand, and the tradition maintains that death itself is a creature, created, purposeful, and in the deepest reading a mercy, the door through which the exile returns home. Al-Hayy, the ever-living. Al-Qayyum, the self-subsisting, by whom all things subsist. These two names appear together in the throne verse, Ayat al-Kursi, which the tradition regards as the greatest verse in the Qur'an, and which we encountered in our exploration of the Ghul as the supreme verse of protection against every malevolent power. The tradition maintains that Al-Hayy, Al-Qayyum together approach most closely the mystery of the greatest name, of which we shall speak shortly, Al-Wajid, the Finder, who lacks nothing. Al-Majid, the Noble. Al-Wahid, Al-Ahad, the One, the Unique. Here the enumeration touches the absolute center of Islamic faith. Tawheed, the divine unity, the truth beside which everything else in Islam is commentary. As-Samad, the eternal refuge, the one upon whom all depend and who depends on nothing. A name that appears in the Qur'an only once, in the brief and mighty surah of sincerity. Say, He is Allah the One, Allah the eternal refuge. He neither begets nor is born, and there is none comparable to Him. Al-Qadir, Al-Muqtadir, the all-powerful, the omnipotent. Al-Muqaddim, Al-Muakhir, the expediter and the delayer, who brings forward and holds back according to a wisdom the creature rarely sees. Every practitioner who has raged against a delay and later blessed it has met these names. Al-Awwal, Al-Akhir, Al-Zahir, Al-Batin, the first, the last, the manifest, the hidden. These four names, which appear together in a single Quranic verse, constitute perhaps the most metaphysically staggering sequence in the entire enumeration. God is before all things and after all things. God is the most evident of all realities, evident in every leaf, every atom, every face, and simultaneously the most hidden, veiled by his very brightness. Ibn Arabi, the 13th century master, whose specific school of thought represents the intellectual summit of Sufi metaphysics, made these four names the axis of his entire vision. All existence is the manifest face of the hidden, and the spiritual path is the journey of learning to see the first in the last. The hidden in the manifest Al-Wali, the governor; Al-Mutali, the supremely exalted; Al-Barr, the source of goodness; At-Tawwab, the acceptor of repentance, who turns toward the servant who turns toward him. And the tradition notes the beautiful reciprocity encoded in the name. The same verb describes the servant's turning and God's turning. But God's turning always comes first, awakening the repentance it then accepts. Al-Muntakim, the Avenger, the name of Majesty that guarantees the moral seriousness of the universe. Injustice will not stand forever. Al-Afu, the Pardoner, who does not merely forgive sins but erases them, so that they are as though they had never been. Ar-Rauf, the Most Kind. Malik ul-Mulk, the owner of all sovereignty. Dhul Jalali wal Ikram, the Lord of Majesty and Generosity. The name that unites in a single phrase the two great families of names, Jalal and Ikram, majesty and generous beauty. Al-Muqsit, the equitable. Al-Jami, the gatherer, who will gather all humanity on the day of judgment and who gathers in this life the scattered fragments of the seeker's heart. Al-Ghani, the self-sufficient, the rich beyond need. Al-Mughni, the enricher. Al-Mani, the withholder, whose refusals are as purposeful as his gifts. Ad-Darr, An-Nafi, the afflicter and the benefiter, the final and most difficult pairing, affirming that even harm, when it comes within the sovereignty of the One. A teaching that does not explain suffering but locates it, refusing to surrender any corner of existence to a second power. An-Nur, the light. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth, declares the verse of light, whose imagery, the niche, the lamp, the glass like a brilliant star, the blessed olive tree neither of the east nor of the west, light upon light, has generated more mystical commentary than perhaps any other passage in the Qur'an. Al-Ghazali devoted an entire treatise, the Mishkat al-Anwar, to this single verse and this single name. Al-Hadi, the guide. Al-Badi, the incomparable originator. Al-Baqi, the everlasting, who remains when all else passes. All that is upon the earth is passing away, and there remains the face of your Lord, Lord of majesty and generosity. Al-Warith, the inheritor to whom all things return. Ar-Rashid, the guide to the right path. As-Sabur, the patient, and with As-Sabur, the patient, the traditional enumeration closes. The tradition found meaning in this specific ending. The final name the practitioner contemplates is patience, the divine patience that endures the rebellion of creatures across ages without annihilating them, that gives time for repentance, that does not hasten. And the practitioner who has walked through all 99 names arrives at the end at the quality their own path most requires. The last lesson of the names is to wait upon God with the patience that is itself a reflection of His own. The hidden name, Ism al-Azam. The Hadith declares that God has 99 names. But the tradition has always known that the divine names in the Qur'an and the broader tradition exceed 99. And that the specific number carries its own teaching, 100-1, an incompleteness that points beyond itself. And here we arrive at one of the most fascinating currents in the entire tradition, the doctrine of Ism al-Azam, the greatest name of God. The tradition preserves In multiple hadith, the teaching that among the names of God there is a greatest name, and that whoever calls upon God by this name will be answered, that no prayer made through the greatest name is refused. The specific identity of this name, however, was never definitively disclosed. The Prophet indicated its presence in certain verses. The throne verse, the opening of Surah Al-Imran, the Surah of Sincerity, but did not isolate it. The tradition responded to this concealment in a characteristically profound way. Some scholars held that the greatest name is Allah itself, the encompassing name that contains all the others. Some held it is Al-Hayy, Al-Qayyum, the living, the self-subsisting. Some held it is Huwa, the divine He, the pure pronoun of the unknowable essence. And some, particularly within the Sufi tradition, held that the greatest name is deliberately hidden, concealed among the names as the night of power is concealed among the nights of Ramadan, so that the seeker, unable to fix upon one name, must honor them all, so that the treasure hunter, not knowing which field conceals the treasure, must dig everywhere. And there is a deeper teaching still, preserved in the Sufi orders, that the greatest name is not a word at all in the ordinary sense. It cannot be transmitted by writing or speech. It is realized, not recited, disclosed within the heart of the practitioner whose purification has reached the point where the name and the named are no longer separate experiences. On this reading, the 100th name, the completing name, is not missing from the list. It is missing from the page. It is written only in hearts. And this is why the tradition whispers, the camel, in the old folk saying, smiles. Of all creatures, only the camel knows the 100th name, and it will never tell. The practice, Dhikr, and the path of the names. The names were revealed to be invoked, and the tradition built upon them one of the great contemplative technologies in the history of religion. The practice of Dhikr, remembrance. The Qur'an commands it directly. Remember me, and I will remember you. Remember your Lord within yourself, humbly and with awe in the mornings and the evenings. Truly, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. At its simplest, Dhikr is the repetition of the divine names, aloud or silently, alone or in gathering, counted on the fingers or on the misbahar, the string of 99 beads that Muslims across the world carry, one bead for each name, the whole strand a rosary of the divine reality. After each of the 5 daily prayers, countless practitioners recite the great triple formula, Subhan Allah, glory be to God, 33 times. Alhamdulillah, praise belongs to God, 33 times. Allahu Akbar, God is greater, 33 times. 99 invocations, closing the prayer with the full circuit of the name's number. But the Sufi orders developed the practice into something far more profound. In the specific system of spiritual training the tariqas preserved, the master assigns to the disciple particular names for particular stages of the path. The disciple whose heart is hard is given the names of mercy. The disciple whose ego is inflated is given the names of Majesty, before which the self learns its smallness. The disciple paralyzed by fear is given the names of gentleness and safety. The name is repeated thousands of times, tens of thousands of times. In the specific practice of the Khalwa, the retreat, in the watches of the night, until the name descends from the tongue to the heart, until the heart itself begins to pulse with the name, until, in the language of the tradition, the practitioner no longer performs the dhikr but becomes the dhikr, a living remembrance walking in the world. And the goal of the entire practice returns us to Al-Ghazali's teaching, Takhalluq, transformation of character through the names. The names are a mirror in which the practitioner sees simultaneously what God is and what the human being is called to become. Every name of God, contemplated deeply, indicts and invites. Al-Karim, the generous, and my hoarding stands exposed. and generosity is opened before me as a path. Al-Halim, the forbearing, and my temper stands exposed, and forbearance is opened before me as a path. As-Sabur, the patient, and my haste stands exposed, and patience is opened before me as a path. Walked in this manner, the 99 names become 99 doors, and the human being who passes through them all arrives at the fullness of what the tradition calls Al-Insan al-Kamil, the complete human being, the polished mirror in which the names shine undistorted. This, the tradition maintains, is the true meaning of the Prophet's promise. Whoever enumerates them enters paradise, because the one who has truly enumerated the names, who has taken each one into the substance of their character, has become the kind of being for whom paradise is simply the native country. The names and the cosmos, one further dimension of the tradition, deserves our attention before we close, for it connects the names to everything else this channel has explored across our many descents. In the mature metaphysics of the Sufi tradition above, all in the school of Ibn Arabi, the names are not only a devotional vocabulary. They are the very architecture of existence. Creation itself, on this teaching, is the theater in which the names disclose themselves. The hidden treasure, as the famous tradition beloved of the Sufis expresses it, I was a hidden treasure, and I love to be known, so I created the creation that I might be known. Every creature on this vision is a word spoken by one of the names. The strong manifest Al-Qawi, the beautiful manifest Al-Jamil, the healers manifest Ash-Shafi. The mothers of the world manifest Ar-Rahman through the very wombs from which the name of mercy takes its root. All of existence is a commentary upon the names, an infinite calligraphy in which the One writes himself endlessly in the letters of created things, and the human being, alone among creatures, was taught, as the Qur'an declares in the story of Adam, all the names. This is the specific dignity of humanity in the Islamic vision, the reason the angels were commanded to bow before Adam, not human power, not human intelligence, but the human capacity to receive and reflect the complete spectrum of the divine names, mercy and majesty, gentleness and strength, the manifest and the hidden, in a single creature. The angels, the tradition teaches, reflect single names in perfection. Only the human being was created as the mirror of them all. This is what was lost in forgetfulness, and this is what the entire path exists to recover. The lamp lit at the threshold of the names, we have traveled a substantial distance in this contemplation, from the Quranic foundation of the names and the Prophet's promise, through the theology of transcendence and nearness that the names hold in balance, through the two great families of majesty and beauty, through the long walk among the 99 themselves, through the mystery of the hidden greatest name, through the practice of Dhikr and the transformation of character, to the vision of the cosmos itself as the manifestation of the names and the human being as their appointed mirror. What does this contemplation show us? It shows us first that the Islamic tradition has preserved one of the most complete contemplative systems in the history of religion, a system in which theology, prayer, ethics, and metaphysics are unified in a single practice of such simplicity that a child can begin it, and such depth that the greatest saints never exhausted it. 99 words, a string of beads, a lifetime of transformation. It shows us, second, that the names resolve in their own distinctive way the tension that every monotheism must face, how the utterly transcendent God can be genuinely known and genuinely loved. The Christian East, as we saw in our pilgrimage into Hesychasm, answered with the distinction between the unknowable essence and the uncreated energies. The Islamic tradition answered with the unknowable essence and the revealed names. The two answers are not identical. Each belongs to its own revelation and its own grammar. But the seeker who has contemplated both will recognize that they stand before the same mystery. The God who is beyond everything, giving himself to be found. It shows us, third, that the names are dangerous to consume casually and transformative to receive properly. Like every tradition we have examined in these descents, the tradition of the names carries its own warnings. The names of Majesty are not to be taken up lightly. The deeper practices of Dhikr belong within the guidance of qualified teachers. The story of Al-Hallaj stands forever at the edge of the path as a sign of what the fire of the names can do. The tradition offers its treasure freely and guards it seriously, and the careful seeker honors both gestures. And it shows us, fourth, something quietly staggering, that at this moment, as you read these words, millions of human beings are passing beads through their fingers, name by name, in an unbroken practice 14 centuries deep, and that every one of those recitations is, on the tradition's own testimony, answered from the other side. Call upon me, I will answer you. The names are not an archive. They are an open line. The lamp lit at the threshold of the names burns with a particular character. It is the light of An-Nur itself, the light of the heavens and the earth, the light of the lamp in the niche, glass like a brilliant star, kindled from a blessed tree, light upon light. The tradition maintains that this light is not a metaphor. It is the reality of which all other lights are metaphors. May we, who have undertaken this contemplation, recognize the seriousness of what we have considered. May we honor the tradition that has preserved the names across 14 centuries of unbroken devotion. May we approach the names with the reverence they command and the transformation they invite. And may we, in our continuing engagement with the deeper currents of esoteric wisdom, remember that of all the subjects we have examined across our many descents, the demons and their bindings, the fallen and their histories, the shadows and their territories, the tradition insists that the names are greater than them all. For the demons flee at the names, the darkness scatters before them, and the entire shadowed pantheon we have spent so many nights examining holds its power only until a single name is spoken by a heart that means it. Say, call upon Allah, or call upon the Most Merciful. Whichever you call, to Him belong the most beautiful names. If this contemplation has stirred something in you, if you have glimpsed that the 99 names constitute not a list, but a ladder, not a catalogue, but a curriculum of the soul, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Every like helps this work reach others who walk similar paths. Every share carries a little more light into the world, a little more of the ancient depth into our fragmented age. And every subscription ensures that you will not miss the next descent into the deep territories of esoteric wisdom that we shall undertake together until our next journey into the depths of sacred tradition. May the lamp you carry illuminate the thresholds your own development calls you to approach. May the names you contemplate begin their quiet work upon your character, and may the 100th name, the hidden name, the name that is written only in hearts, find in your heart a place prepared for its writing. The beads are waiting. The names are waiting. The one who is named is nearer than the jugular vein and has been waiting longest of all. Until we meet again, Seeker, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Wadud, An-Nur, As-Sabur, the merciful, the compassionate, the loving, the light, the patient. 100 minus 1, and the last is hidden, so that you will seek him in them all.